Hello everybody, I will be talking today about the importance of having queer media representation and just kind of the liberation of having queer icons in pop culture and the role they play in today's society. So throughout history, we've had a lot of callbacks to the arts. So for example, a lot of arts dating back to the Renaissance era, a lot of males portrayed female roles, and the theater was mostly dominated by males. This is not anything relatively new to the culture or strange. This is just kind of the gender norms and what kind of was going on back then. So today in queer media, we have drag queens, for example. And with drag queens, that is a lot of males often doing theater, music, or comedy roles within an art form. They are seen as artists, and it's very important to have that kind of representation and liberation for the youth, because queer people have existed since the dawn of time. They often have either been silenced or hidden and in the shadows, but they've always been around. For example, one of my sources is Drag Queen's Story Hour, and they showcase the effects of having queer representation in the media, and that's helped prove and bring up literacy rates among the LGBTQ community. And I think that's incredibly important because America has always been talked about as a melting pot. And in order for us to continue to be that melting pot, we have to highlight those underserved and underprivileged communities, and the queer community is one of those communities. And as an ally, and I have very many friends near and dear to my heart who are a part of the queer community, I think it's important that we uplift and highlight our differences in order to help the next generation and continue to grow and learn, and it's just going to make us better as a society overall. It also shows the Trevor Project has some data from 2022 and on showing how the more we are able to showcase queer representation and queer icons such as drag queens or transgender actors such as Laverne Cox, we're often seeing that the suicide rates and the bullying rates and just the safety that our queer and transgender accomplices feel goes up versus our statistics in, let's say, 2023, where it was about 50%, according to the Trevor Project again, about 50% of LGBT youth from the ages of 13 to 17 were facing bullying or were considering suicide. And when you really look at that number, that is a large population of our youth that is feeling underserved, underprivileged, not getting the care that they need because they just don't feel that they are equal or deserving of it, which is why having queer icons is so vitally important to kind of show them that, you know, it does get better. There are other options for them and routes for them to take. And part of the reason I think we also need to keep diversity alive is because when we are able to show positive outcomes and we're able to learn from one another, all we're doing is further educating ourselves. And I think that helps eliminate a lot of fear that people who are not queer have. You have to be willing to learn and understand and have those conversations and be a part of those conversations in order to move forward and grow. And it's vital that we do that, because otherwise we're only as strong as our weakest link. And if our weakest link isn't really willing to learn and take those steps, then we are failing not only ourselves as a society, but like we're also failing like our community and our peers. And I want to be part of a society that wants to grow and learn and keep improving on things. Apologies, I'm still getting over being sick. The Art of Drag, it is an article from the It Gets Better Project. This was started to kind of help fight some of the policies that our current administration are attempting to pass, and just kind of take away rights. And it's an uncertainty, and it is a little scary, especially for those in the queer community. So we are seeing a lot more articles come out about the positives and the benefits of seeing and having queer art within our media. This artist in particular, Desmond Naples, says, "Drag challenges gender norms, and it breaks down barriers." And that is incredibly true, because if you look at a lot of our socio and political changes, you'll see that there are a lot of Black and brown and queer people that are often being the front lines, speaking up not only for their rights, but everybody's rights. They're not just advocating for people who look and think like them, but they're also advocating for people who don't see the way they do. But that's part of the beauty of drag. Another source that I would encourage everybody, especially if you are, let's say you want to learn about drag. I would not suggest RuPaul's Drag Race, though I am a big fan. I would not suggest that for you. I actually would suggest We're Here. It is an HBO series that started right around the pandemic, so 2020. It is RuPaul's drag queens who are all from different either countries, states, background, ethnicities, and they're going to these underserved and underprivileged communities. Often think of the Bible Belt in the South. They're going there and helping liberate queer youth, but also educating their family members on what it means to be queer, what it is like to actually partake in drag, and how their journeys affected them and got them to where they are now. And really just helping uplift the community and just celebrating what it means to be queer. And often there are a lot of family members who get into drag for the first time, and we're talking about fathers and sons, and sometimes they're doing it together, sometimes they're doing it for one another. And each takeaway that everybody kind of has at the end of everything is, oh my goodness, I wish that I had spent more time learning or accepting it. There's so much love and acceptance, and I don't think I've ever been welcomed in that way. So I think that's another reason why it's so important to have queer art and queer icons in our media today, reading to kids, to normalize it, to show that there's no stigma, and really just fight back and help protect our communities. Because again, drag often has a lot of ties back to theater, and theater often has a lot of ties back to how it was male dominated. Males were the ones kind of giving these presentations and presenting in these plays and playing all these parts as women, and that was normalized. So somehow along the way we have got to keep that up.